I'd like to call to order this committee the whole meeting of the town of Saugeen Shores, and extend a welcome to everyone in the chambers this evening. And the first order of business is a declaration of pecuniary interest, and I'll remind each member of your responsibility to declare if you have one now, or you can do so when it arises on the agenda. This evening we have five deputations, and the first one is Doug Pedwell. He's here from Friends of McGregor on the Huron. It is quite a festival, our Huron Fringe Birding Festival. Welcome, Doug.
Normally I don't need it, but okay. Huron Fringe Birding Festival. Well, this is one of our area's best kept secrets. It's been in operation. This is our 17th year. We're better known outside of... let's make sure if I can work this. Okay. What am I doing wrong? On. That helps. There. That's our logo. And we have some partners, and these partners provide lands which we explore all over the place, and we have private owners who also contribute to letting us wander their properties. As I said, this festival has been in operation 17 years. We have received visitors from all over Ontario, from the States, and from other provinces in Canada. This year we have people coming from Halifax and from Michigan. Our corporate sponsors are local ones. Two of them are local, one is not. And then we have a number of local supporters. We call these the event sponsors. Now, what is the Birding Festival? Well, it's an annual festival. It's every spring. It's 8 days long, 2 weekends, the first 2 weekends after the May 24th. So a removable feast. So what's it all about? Birds? Oh, definitely. We got lots, like bitterns, peregrine falcons, pintails, they're coming through in numbers now, piping plover, ospreys, Savannah sparrows, they've arrived back. You'll find these sitting on the fence posts in the countryside. Bluebirds, bobolinks, but it's a lot more. We have photography. Oh, gee whiz. I just learned something. It didn't translate very well. We have wildflowers and astronomy. We have what we call relaxed nature hikes, where you go out with knowledgeable people and they take you for a nice little walk and you learn an awful lot. Where is it held? Well, it's at our local provincial park. Just follow the signs to the visitor center, and that's our headquarters. But we use all of Bruce County and part of Grey. The main reason we have a birding festival in there, well, actually there are three. The first one is migration, second is migration, and the third is migration. Now, why here? Well, we do know that the birds cross the border, flying from the south. They cross around Detroit. They cross at Point Pelee. Everybody's heard of Point Pelee. But we're referred to as Pelee North. They follow the Huron Fringe. One of the reasons they follow the Huron Fringe, it's a forested area that runs all along Lake Huron's shoreline, right up onto the peninsula, and then they go up, because they don't like flying over large bodies of water if they can help it. Now, there's another group that comes across at Niagara and follows the Niagara Escarpment all the way up into this area. And then there's a third group that comes up, it crosses at Long Point and comes in. And how do we know all this? Well, modern science has told us. This little device that's shown here is called a geolocator. It has one job. It records sunrise and sunset, because every place in this world has a different sunrise and sunset time. They did most of the work originally with purple martins, which we just happen to have down at the harbor. Now you'll see the geolocator sticking out of the rear end of the bird. It's so light, it doesn't bother them. Our purple martins. That's the glamour shot, in case you're interested, of a purple martin. Now, what I'd like you to do is look at the left-hand picture. The bird left its area, its nesting area, August the 31st, and did a little leisurely trip down to middle of Brazil, October 13th. In April the 12th, it decided, it's time to raise a family. Let's get going. Now, you notice it got back up here on April the 25th. But that doesn't tell the whole story. You notice that there are that red line crosses bodies of water. Well, before it did that, it stopped and fed for a day or so, then flew across the water. Repeat, stopped, rested, did the same thing. So I actually made the flight in approximately 7 or 8 days. Not bad for a pair of wings from the middle of Brazil back up here. Now, if you were to get a guidebook like this one here, the Peterson Field Guide, and you have nothing else to do one evening, you count the number of birds in the front, as I did. 475. 340 of them have been recorded here. That's not a bad number. About 70-odd%. So why bird watching? Well, most people don't realize this, but it generates approximately $60 billion to the North American continent. Now, we have to rely on our friends, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, to give us the numbers. Because nobody in Canada does any research on this. But they do. And that came about by accident because about 30 years ago, they found out when they were trying to figure out how to spend their money, that bird watching and nature watching was a very profitable business. And now it's worth more than either hunting or fishing. Almost as much as both of them put together. So what do you need? Well, one of the things you can do it anywhere. It's quite a healthy activity. It's inexpensive. And it's lots of fun. What do you need to go bird watching? Yourself. A sense of adventure. That's it. But it's nice to have a pair of binoculars. You only buy them once unless you drop them. Field guides. That does help you tell what you're seeing, unless you've got somebody knowledgeable beside you. Now, there are some optional equipment. Telescope. You'll find a lot of birders end up buying telescopes because they can't see quite far enough. And then there are people like me who buy the camera and the telephoto lenses. So who comes to this festival? Anybody with an interest in nature, young at heart, young in years. But they all share that very common interest, nature. So, what's being offered? Well, we have over 80 events. And although, and I apologize for missing the last meeting, I scheduled it on my planner on the wrong night, but you received one of these. And there are 80 events. And I'd like to I'm now able to tell you that approximately the first weekend we're about 75% full, and on the second weekend we're about 60% full. One of the unique things about the Huron Fringe Birding Festival are our leaders. Many of them are international tour groups. They led for Quest and other organizations. They are leaders in their own field before they retired, because a lot of them are retirees, not all of them, but they have that local in-depth, and the other thing is they are all keen experts in what they're talking about. So yes, we have birding events. We have full-day birding events, which start at 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, some people complain about that. They don't think it's early enough. We start at 6, we start at 7, we start at 8. The birders are gone by then. So we have one that's called South Bruce Peninsula. That sort of just goes up a loop from Saugeen Shores, from McGregor Point, does a loop up towards Wyatt and then comes back. People have asked and asked for that one to be returned, so we did that this year, and it's full. Birding Cape Croker. It's another one that's outside of this area right at the moment, but it's one that has become very popular. Malcolm Bluffs is another one that's up near Wyerton as well. Now, Bird by Till You Drop is an interesting one. This is for the die-hard birder. I would never recommend this one for anybody who is beginning birding, because it's a long day. You might get to see a bald eagle, black and white warbler, black-crowned night heron, blue-winged teal, Bonaparte gull, the odd porcupine, blue jays, catbirds, tree frogs, chipping sparrows, and this is what you look like the next day. Because you started at 6 o'clock in the morning, but you have to stay up for the owl, so maybe 11 or 1 when you get back. And you've been all over Bruce County. Of course, we also have the familiar ones. We go to Flower Pot Island. One that's been very popular is birding by nest. Everybody finds birds' nests, but who made them? There are ways to tell, and this is one of the ways you can find out about it. Birding Huron Fringe, that's up along and down this shoreline, right in this area. In for Huron Park, which is just down the road. And we have half-day events. As I mentioned, we have early morning bird hikes, 6 o'clock is a popular time to start, believe it or not. And we have a number of birding hikes within McGregor Point. This one has been in the repertoire and is still there. It's always full. It's called Burning the JI line. We've always called it the JI line, but I was informed in Kincardine it's the J1 line. And it's simply going up and down this one particular road because it has so much in the way of unique diversity of grassland birds. Well, we're not just a birding festival. We are also a nature festival. And we have a number of hikes. This time of the year, orchids are a very popular thing. Yes, this area has lots of orchids and different species of orchids. Most people don't even realize that. So we have the hidden treasures of the Huron coast. And as I mentioned earlier, lots of relaxed nature walks. In the park and other areas around here. Wildflower hikes where you can learn to identify them. Now if you're not an early morning riser, butterfly hikes are good because they don't really get active till 10 o'clock in the morning. Now we also have a number of photography workshops. I'll be leading the one on the South Bruce Peninsula. Jenna Riley from town is leading dynamic camera tips, and Kerry Jarvis from town is doing one on photographing waterfalls and photographing trees. And we have evening presentations. This one, identifying hawks, we only can hold 60 people for it. It was sold out, for lack of a better expression, within the first week, because that's obviously something that is very important. And that's done by Fred Jazvek from Southampton. Evening of Astronomy, the astronomy organization is coming down and doing an evening, because sometimes we go up to the Fox Observatory at Wyerton for a night. Now, Saugeen Shores, it's important because it has so much diversity in here. And it has one of the hot spots. I mentioned there's all sorts of orchids here, all three, moccasin flower, calopogon, haliburine. Now haliburine is a very interesting one because most people think it's a weed. But as soon as you tell them it's an orchid, they start looking after it. Grows all over my place. Now this one, dwarf lake iris, only place it's found in the world is on the Lake Huron shoreline. Spotted turtles, they're a rare and endangered species which is found right in this area. And we have two species of yellow lady slippers. Ram's heads are found here. And I've just gone plantain, rattlesnake plantain. Now, coots are a common bird, bald eagles, we see those black terns, we get them here, swallows, owls. Now, we also get some strangers. This guy should be in Florida. About 3 or 4 years ago, he was in Miramichi Bay. Cattle egrets, another bird we associate. Doll Side Road. We've had whooping cranes fly through the area. Now this guy's moving into the area. He's going to become a permanent resident. This is a tufted titmouse. They've actually been here and they've overwintered here, but they're moving out. They're a bird that we would call a Carolinian bird. They belong in the far south and they're moving in here. And of course I mentioned the piping plover. Now, this is tourism at its best. A magnificent frigate bird, another tropical bird. 3 years ago, it was flying up and down the shoreline here. You had birders from all over Ontario running back and forth trying to find this bird as it went from Sauble Beach to Tobermory and then back down to here. So, why do people return? 2/3 of the people we have at our festival are returnees every year. They like our friendly atmosphere. They like the idea of learning something new. We always have new places to visit, and it's our programs and leaders. One of the things that we'll be bringing back next year is art, and we'll be working with the Southampton Art School for that. So, what do you want to go? What do you need? Well, here are the dates. We take Tuesday and Wednesday off so we can have a rest. And the best thing to do is check the website because we keep everything up to date on there. And brochures, there are some at the Tourist Information Bureau, but it's best to go on the website at this point in time. And I'd just like two people I'd like to introduce that are here. Arlene Richards, who is a member of our committee, and Mike Pickup, who is past chairman of the committee, and author of Birding Saugeen Shores. In fact, Mike is in the process of developing for us a birding trail that operates out of McGregor Point and operates through this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Any questions or comments for Doug? In your letter in the package, he's offered for two positions. He's offered one to me and one councillor member. So in the next week or so, if anybody's interested, let me know and we'll get a hold of you. And
That's right. So if anybody is interested coming out and experiencing and getting knowledge of what it is, then fine. And if you are planning some stuff and you'd like some advice about where to put parking spots for birders, we'd be more than happy to help you out. Because we're running into some difficulties sometimes.
Thanks very much. I'm sure I'll get lots of advice on that. Thanks, Doug. Sorry.
Just trying to figure it out. Sure. Yeah.
Right. Again. Our next deputation is Vicki Lee. She's here from the County of Bruce, and she's about to tell us about Explore the Bruce, the launch battery. Welcome, Vicki.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Just activate the mic. You'll need to. Yep.
There you go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, member of council. My name is Vicki, and I'm with the County of Bruce. I'm with the Planning and Economic Development Department, and of course, Explore the Bruce. Today, I'm going to learn how to work this first. Alrighty. So today, I'm here to talk about the Adventure Passport. What's new for 2014? A new feature we've added called the Southampton Stroll, as well as to send out an invitation to the member of council for the launch party. So the Adventure Passport, I know Kim Clark, my manager, was here 2 weeks ago to talk about what Explore the Bruce is and about the Adventure Passport. But just as a refresher, the Adventure Passport is a big scavenger hunt that happens all over Bruce County. This year is the 10th year anniversary, and so what people do is they look for a black box, and it's usually located all over Bruce County, so from Tobermory all the way down to Walkerton. And they punch their passport, and when they visit a minimum of 7 of the 12 passport stops, they're qualified for an Adventure Passport t-shirt, as well as various prizes that we have. It is a fun way to explore the Bruce, of course, and a lot of people do plan their vacation around it. A lot of people that do come are from the Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph, and the GTA area. In the past 9 years, 66,000 people have completed the passport. In 2013, it was a great year for us. The economic impact was $3.1 million. We had Southampton Pioneer Park as one of the stops. And as a result, 3,000 visitors visited the park alone. And those are the people that only submitted their passports. So that doesn't include people that just went with their friends to visit the park, or people who did a few of the passport stops and forgot to submit it. We also added a new feature called the Wyerton Willie Walkabout, and this is a mini tour in Wyerton. And it was to encourage people to get out of their car and actually explore the town, because I drive the Explore the Bruce truck, and I see so many people go to a passport box, punch their card, and jump back in the car, and that was not the point of the passport. The point was to get them to explore the town that they're in, as well as to spend money in our downtowns and at our tourism operators, or at their operations. This year marks the 10th anniversary, and we've added a few new features. The first feature is the Bike Punch, which is a bicycle tour that we've added to the passport. And what participants have to do is they visit the box, but they have to take a picture of them with the bicycle and their bike with the box. And then at the end of the year in November, we do a big draw, and the big bike prize draw is a bicycle donated from Martin's Bike Shop. The second feature we've added is a paddle punch, and this is to encourage people to actually rent a canoe or actually explore the great rivers that we have. And we've placed a passport punch, which we're going to be installing on Wednesday on the Sauble River, and it's right over a shipwreck. So it's going to be quite the adventure just for us right now, just to install it. And the people that do complete the paddle punch will be eligible to win a kayak donated by Thorncrest Outfitters. As you can see the theme, a lot of sponsors are from Southampton, which is great. Because this year is the 10th year, we've added an exhibit at the Bruce County Museum, which will launch on June 14th. And the exhibit is going to be in the Bruce Gallery, and it's going to feature tourism and how it's evolved over the years and how it's grown and how it's affected Explore the Bruce and the Adventure Passport. Another thing is that we are featuring the best of. So each stop this year are going to be the top 12 spots over the past 9 years. And it's a little bit of a tongue twister, but the participants chose it, and we chose it from all the surveys that we sent out each year. And lastly, we've added something called the Southampton Stroll. And this is going to be something similar to the Wyerton Woolly Walkabout. And what we've done is we've created a mini tour in Southampton. And again, it's to encourage people to walk through the downtowns, to get to know Southampton and see the lighthouses, see the different attractions within Southampton. And again, to get our visitors to spend money in our downtowns. I do a lot of work with the Southampton Business Group, and I've worked with them on the Adventure Passport and the mini tour and how to get these visitors into their stores. So whether it's putting a sign up, encouraging them to add them on Facebook or a sandwich board or something, because we really are bringing all these people to Southampton, and we really want them to spend as much time as they can exploring Southampton. So people who do the Southampton Stroll are eligible for the Southampton Stroll Prize, which is a $1,400 prize donated from downtown merchants or just merchants in Southampton, as well as a bed and breakfast along Miramichi Bay. And the way we're going to measure the effect of this Southampton Stroll is we're going to be sending out a monthly survey to our downtown business groups to see how the passport has helped them or if it's beneficial to their business. So this year's stops are the Bruce County Museum, and we're encouraging visitors to park on Victoria Street and get their passport punch at the museum, walk to Jubilee Park, walk to the Martin's Bike Shop, Thorncrest Outfitters, the General Hunter exhibit along the boardwalk, and take the nice hike to the range light. The third thing I wanted to talk to you about today is about the launch party. It's on June 14th, and last year we had about 400 people attend, plus media. This year it's on June 14th, where we have about 100 people registered, and we haven't even promoted it. So it's happening at the Bruce County Museum, and it's going to take place also on Victoria Street between Lansdowne and Union Street. And the goal is to kick off the Adventure Passport, promote our tourism operators in Bruce County, as well as have it as a media day as well. In terms of the agenda, so what happens is you usually have to be there for the full day to really see what's happening. So we have registration in the morning, then we have national anthem and the welcoming ceremonies. And then this big scavenger hunt is from 10:30 till 1, and I'll show you the obstacle course in the next slide. Then everyone comes back from their obstacle course, and they have lunch, and we're also having a butter tart-off, and I know 2 of our judges from the tart-off are in this room today. And this is where we're inviting local pastry chefs and businesses and bakeries in Bruce County to show off their butter tarts. And then we're going to have the closing ceremonies. I know this is a little bit difficult to see, I apologize. So this is the site plan for the scavenger hunt. So what people or visitors supposed to do is they're going to meet at the museum. One group, so the motorcyclists, are going to go on a 132-kilometer tour around Bruce County. And then the other half, or the majority of the people, half of the group are going to go this way, and the other half is going to go this way. So what they're doing is, as part of a scavenger hunt, they're going to go to the Jubilee Park and participate in an obstacle course, which will be hosted by the Port Elgin Boy Scouts. Go to Martin's Bike Shop, where him and his team are going to do a foot-down bicycle obstacle course. Go to Thorncrest, where their team there is going to put backpacks and really heavy backpacks on kids, which are really going to be 1-pound backpacks. And they're going to run into the back parking lot and do a obstacle course back there. Throughout the downtown, the business merchants are going to have either sidewalk sales, samplings, or different offers. At Chantry Breezes here, Hoity Toity Cellars is going to do some sampling, as well as there's going to be some local art on the fence. And then heading down to the General Hunter, we're going to have we're going to hide things in the sand and get kids to dig in the sand to look for articles. And then the play group is going to, or Play Grey Bruce is going to host an obstacle at at Pioneer Park, just up north there. And throughout the streets, we're going to have mascots and different people cheering people on. This just listed a few of the partners that we have that's helping out for the launch party. And some of them are the Port Elgin Boy Scouts, Play Grey Bruce, Thorncrest Outfitters, Martin's Bike Shops, and of course the local merchants. And this is just a little bit of a video, if we have time, of what had happened last year. – 2 minutes, I think. It's not working. Alrighty, that's okay. That's okay.
I'll have to wait till the lunch break.
Yeah.
On the 14th. Thanks very much, Vicki. Has anybody got any questions or comments for me? Deputy Mayor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the presentation, Vicki. It looks like it's going to be an awesome event. I wonder, you mentioned that you're going to do a survey of businesses in Southampton, I guess, asking them how the event went for them and how it turned out. Will you be able to share the results of that survey with Saugeen Shores, and particularly with our Downtown Revitalization Committee, because I think we'd be interested to see how that event turns out from the perspective of the business owners down there.
Absolutely. We usually collect all the data in November and December, and I can definitely come back in January.
Great. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Mr.
Mayor. Nothing else? Well, I think I've been at about 5 launches, and I think they've all been very good, and really a great day, but I think this is going to be the best.
I hope so.
Because I think they picked the right community to have the team. Anyways, no, thank you, Vicki. I know it is going to be a great day, and they always are. And I want to thank you for what you do with that Explore the Bruce and tourism in general for Bruce County.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Our next deputation is Betty and Tim Simpson, and we'll hear about parking in the downtown and realignment of Godrich Street. Welcome, Betty and Tim.
You have to excuse me, I have a bit of a cold. Honorable Mayor Mike Smith, Deputy Mayor Luke Charbonneau, and Town Council. My name is Betty Simpson, my daughter Melissa Simpson, my husband Tim Simpson. We are the owners of Casual Corners and Mensch Clothing, downtown Port Elgin. We're here today to talk about parking, or the lack of. One of the community's most valuable downtown assets is its parking system. Parking is often viewed as one of the basic elements of sustaining a healthy downtown and in promoting the expansion of retail, restaurants, and office activity. The supply and location are very sensitive issues for downtown businesses and adjacent neighborhoods. Parking is a valuable asset for development. The lack of on-site parking can make it difficult for developers to attract tenants and customers. Municipal parking lots are not conveniently located for all customers and businesses. Retail expert Bob Gibbs says that every on-street parking space in a thriving retail district is worth $250,000 in sales to the nearby merchants on that street. People still walk much further along an interesting main street to get from their parking space to the store than they will walk from a parking lot. Simply put, if you want to kill the businesses along a thriving commercial street, just remove the on-street parking. It works every time. Clearly, forcing cars off the street has a lot of negative consequences. On-street parking is not only a car storage device. There are other benefits as well. When fear arrives, pedestrians depart. One major source of fear is a possibility that a car may run off the street and hit you. On-street parking alleviates this fear because each of those parked cars acts as a shield of several hundred pounds of metal between you and moving traffic. People don't consciously realize this all the time, but you've never seen a sidewalk cafe next to the expressway, have you? For many of our customers, clients, or restaurant patrons, vehicle parking is their first and their last experience when they're here. The easier and less eventful we make parking for them, the more they can focus on enjoying the downtown experience. Premium parking spots are those closest to the concentration of shops and services. When our customers can easily access convenient spots, they'll perceive our area as easy. So leave the parking spots for them. People gravitate to businesses with cars parked around them. It is like a subconscious seal of approval. If the downtown is busy with cars parked on the main street, it encourages people not to miss out and shop there too. This is a great way to communicate to visitors and residents that our businesses are worth the stop. Parking is ideal for customers and visitors to the downtown who are only staying for a short period of time. Municipal parking lots should be marked prominently, identifying lots which are easy for people to find and located in close proximity to many of the core streets. At this time, we do not have adequate signage directing customers to alternate parking. New parking signs have been erected after a year of having none. These two new signs are half the size of the old ones and only have one going south, the other going north. Both are one-sided. Blink once, and you'll be heading out of town without another parking sign to be found. If you miss them, there are no other directional parking signs. At the present time, 10 Main Street parking stalls have been eliminated from the core of the downtown with a plan to remove another 13, including all existing spots on the block where our stores, Casual Corners and Mensch, are located between Green and Gustavus Streets. Port Elgin does not have enough parking. Our municipal parking lots are full of town employees and commuters to Bruce Power. All municipal lots are full by noon, and we're not even into our busy tourist season. Turning lanes at the corners of Green and Goderich Streets have caused a hazard for anyone making a right-hand turn onto Goderich Street. Our delivery trucks unloading merchandise are stopped in front of our stores, as well as cars that continue to park on the main street, forcing cars making a right-hand turn to pass by the truck and go into a head-on collision with the turning lane. The turning lane has made the transition into driving lanes at Green and Goderich Streets complicated. The intersection is not straightforward or safe. The lanes from the north and south end of the intersection do not line up, and drivers end up in the wrong lane when following the natural pattern of the road. This has caused many close calls with ambulances, cars, and pedestrians. It is just a matter of time before there's a fatality there. This will impact the entire community. We will be affected by decisions made by today's council. We suggest taking out the turning lanes at Green and Goderich and giving that light a few more seconds of advanced green. The turning lanes are a hazard and have changed the flow of traffic pattern, and not in a good way. We have conducted a customer and business survey relating to downtown parking. Customers have told us that the choice spaces for parking are those most visible and in front of stores. This makes parking accessible to everyone going almost anywhere in the downtown core. Respondents have indicated they have left the core area due to lack of parking on occasions. It can be assumed that the shorter duration of vehicles utilizing on-street parking within the core indicates that the parking spots were being used by patrons visiting single establishments or running errands in a short amount of time. Parking of 30 minutes or less represents more than 45% of total parking within the downtown core. These are people picking up prescriptions, alterations, etc., and need to get in and out quickly. Our community has a large number of both aging residents and families with young children. If we want to encourage shopping locally, these customers especially need access to an on-street parking for convenience and safety. On-street parking along Gaudry Street acts as a traffic calming mechanism and prevents dangerous speeds through traffic. This prevents Gaudry Street from becoming a highway and encourages those passing through to stop, eat, and shop. In the Saugeen Shores official plan commercial designations, it states that loading areas shall be located to avoid conflict between pedestrian and vehicular traffic. The addition of the turning lane and removal of parking spaces clashes with this section of the official plan. Loading areas are both unsafe and inconvenient as a result. Another section of the official plan states that the town will work with the downtown merchants and the community to improve the core areas as a tourist destination. Convenient on-street parking is key to this. Further sections state that commercial area policies indicate both the importance of maintaining the core as a primary focus for retail commercial business and notes the importance of parking improvements and adequate parking facilities with access that minimizes both vehicular and pedestrian danger. Removal of on-street parking does not improve the core commercial area in Port Elgin and causes both danger and inconvenience. In Section 6.3, Economic Development, the goal is to develop economically to the fullest potential the promotion of economic wellness, giving you a strong downtown. A very commercial base is key to this, and on-street parking is the key to businesses that are part of the core, providing access, customer service, and convenience for patrons. The plan also notes that economic development through tourism is a priority of the official plan. A vibrant and healthy downtown with local businesses is key service to both tourists and residents. A business survey was conducted by visiting the business establishments in the core and asking the manager or owner to consent to the survey. The interviews were conducted with as many businesses as possible, providing the option of leaving the form with the business for them to fill out and to be picked up or dropped off at our stores, or casual corners. 63 business proprietors were surveyed. 100% agreed to the survey. We have now almost 1,000 signatures of customer protest that have been collected at our establishment and the stores downtown with a plea, please reinstate those parking spots. We're asking for the removal of the turning lane at Green and Godrich and the reinstatement of those 10 parking spots we have lost and the stopping of any plan that includes the removal of any additional parking. We ask for directional signage to municipal parking lots. Excuse me. We ask for more parking lots since our town does not have enough parking. We are asking council to vote on these issues and follow up with a staff report, which will be on the agenda for the next council meeting. Parking must be reinstated before the 2014 tourist season. My name is Betty Simpson. My husband Tim, our daughter Melissa. We consider ourselves qualified experts in this matter. Our stores are considered the pride of Port Elgin, and we have been conducting our businesses in Port Elgin successfully for over 35 years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Betty. Questions or comments for Betty? Councillor Huber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You should come and speak more often. You're good. You're very good. I agree totally, and I would like to hope that we can revisit the downtown plan. It's been a year, and since the deputation came up on our notice. Every time I've driven through that intersection, there's been stuff parked illegally. And it creates more havoc when they're parked illegally because, there's lines visible on the road, and it is a mess. And so I would respectfully ask that we take some of the comments here and follow through and revisit what we did, first of all, to make sure that, there's opportunities to think about it perhaps in a different way. And I don't actually think it's improved turning and as long as there's pedestrian holdbacks which stop people from having an advanced turn signal has the potential to work. What was happening before was there was no pedestrian stop. The advance would be there and people would go, and so people couldn't turn. But if pedestrians can be held back for that advance green, I think there's potential there without an extra lane. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you very much for coming. It was good.
You can leave it here with the clerk. Yep. Deputy clerk, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Betty, for the presentation and for coming this evening. I think there's really no question that there's a parking issue in downtown Port Elgin, and it's something that we've been struggling with for a long time, and Council has been adding parking spaces, our off-street parking spaces for the last number of years. Or certainly on Elgin Street, we built a new lot. The other issue is that, and it also can't be denied, I think, that we have a traffic issue in downtown Port Elgin. I don't think anybody would deny that we have difficulty and have had difficulty over the last number of years with traffic being congested and sort of unorganized. And that's a problem, and one that's been raised with this council by many of our constituents over the years. And so we're attempting and have been attempting to strike a balance between those two issues. We have a number of constraints in downtown Port Elgin that everyone knows about. We have small blocks, and when we want to put in a new traffic setup like the turning lanes that we did put in, it removes parking. And I guess I just wanted to clarify too. I think maybe there's just a bit of confusion, or maybe I'm not sure what with regard to the numbers. The Director of Public Works informs me that as of today, 5 spaces have been removed as a result of the Green Street reconstruction, and when Gustavus Street is redone, the hope is to minimize the impact of that and hopefully remove no more than a total of 9 parking spaces from the main street. I understand that that's not what you want to hear, but I just want to clarify the numbers so that we're on the same page. That's the number that is the intention, and the additional parking spaces that you're talking about, Betty, likely come from the streetscape plan, which is another plan which isn't funded at the moment and likely isn't going to be rolled out in its current form. So I just wanted to let you know that the 23 spaces that you identified is not likely something that's going to be rolled out, certainly not intended to be rolled out immediately. It's going to be considerably fewer than that. And that the intention also of Public Works is to maintain 5 spaces and an additional accessible space between Green and Gustavus, just to clarify those numbers. And also, I wanted to point out, too, that speaking to the Chief of Police about the current situation at Green and Gustavus, since we've seen the reconfiguration of the parking lot, or of the intersection, we have not actually seen empirically any increase in the amount of accidents or collisions of any kind. There, the numbers are very static with previous years, so there isn't an empirical or the police have recorded no increase in an incident rate there at the moment. All that's I just really want to provide those for clarification at this time. But I think the most important thing is to keep doing what we've been doing for the last couple of years, and to continue to work with downtown businesses to try to come to solutions, compromise solutions that are going to solve these problems, or at least try to solve both of the issues that we confront, both the parking issue and the traffic issue, as best we can. I think I want to commend the Director of Public Works, who over the last 2 years, since 2012, has taken a considerable amount of effort to consult with downtown businesses, holding open houses, distributing flyers directly to downtown businesses via the BIA, radio interviews, having advertised on radio, and I think he's done a considerable amount of consultation. And I know, I think we've got to keep doing that and keep having that dialogue and keep talking about this and come up with some options. I certainly agree that there are not enough at this moment parking signs in the core, and that's one thing that we can work on. And I understand too that your intention, Betty, is to come to the Downtown Revitalization Committee, or at least I hope you will, and make a presentation to us, and perhaps we can work with the resources that we have there on some options and some solutions in some of these areas. But I really think that we're going to have to find, realistically, we're going to have to find some compromises in order to deal with the issues that we have here. We have traffic issues that we have to contend with, and my own personal view is that continuing to move traffic through the core and moving it effectively through the core is the best way to promote our businesses, as opposed to a bypass. The option though is, the other option is the potential of a bypass or something along those lines, which I think will remove traffic from the downtown and thereby remove any opportunity to attract those customers. And I think if they're driving by your door, you have the opportunity to get a hold of them. So I think I understand. We wanted to. Okay.
Please,
if we can continue to working and talking about this, I'm sure that we can find some options and some solutions that are going to help this to settle this issue, or at least to provide some solutions that are going to improve the situation.
Okay, I think we've heard enough from everybody here. Thanks very much. Any other comments or questions from committee? Councillor Frost first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Judging by the turnout, it's a passionate subject, the parking in, and we're all aware that it is a problem, and it's a balance to try and get the park along with the traffic flow. Summertime, when it comes, it is dead slow, and I know it always takes me a couple of weekends before I click and start using Bricker to get around everything again. Now, that said, I had two questions for Stu, but before I ask those, before the Godfrey Street got changed around, I didn't find it any different personally for me to get a parking spot on there or not. It was always full. It's the main street. There's very seldom any place for me to pull up and park. It's a busy street. But I think it's worth revisiting and taking a look and seeing what staff can do. My question is for Stu. On the parking signs, are there any plans to change these around, or is it part of our signing strategy that we're going to have these things replaced or redone?
Sorry. So we did put 2 additional signs in a couple of weeks ago. Before that, we were in compliance with the current wayfinding signage strategy. And some business owners let me know that that was maybe deficient. So we put some more up, and I understand perhaps that wasn't enough from what we're hearing tonight. So we'll get some direction from council and see where we want to go with that.
Okay, thanks for that, Stu. And the second question I have we done any kind of a study on how this has been working out over the year? Is there feedback that we're getting? I know we're getting from the merchants on their end, and I understand that totally, but are we getting feedback from any place else?
So with feedback, it starts back at the open houses when we got the original feedback with what people wanted to see with respect to the streetscape plans. After the intersections went in, we did get some concerns with traffic. And as I've said before, we also, about a month or two after that, we got several compliments on how better traffic's moving now. And then also, then we have this feedback here as well to consider.
Okay, thanks, Stu. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you again for coming.
Councillor Shivdat.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I suppose this is going to go back to staff for a review, but specifically what I'm looking for is I want to go back and I want to go over some of the things that were talked about. The streetscape plan was one. There was considerable effort to get this out in the public a couple of years ago and talk about changes. I know we discussed here at Council delaying the building of the Elgin Street parking lot specifically until the other was resolved. So I'd be interested in going back and seeing who was consulted and when, the feedback. And I have no trouble looking at the overall plan again, but I think what the Deputy Mayor alluded to was Council has to come up with a balance. And it's not going to satisfy everybody, but I think if we can sit down and look at it again, perhaps we can come to a compromise. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Fred and Tom. Any other comments? Well, thank you, Betty, and thank you for everyone coming out this evening. I think, again, what we'll do is we're going to ask Stuart to see how we got here, come back and have a look at what options we have and how we consider all these requests and see how we can move forward, and hopefully we can come to some solution that will satisfy just about everybody. Thanks very much. Thank you, Tim, and thank you, Betty and Melissa. Okay. Our next deputation is Jeff Carver and Roger Crane, and they're here about development charges.
We're good to go. Thank you very much for your time. If I could, I guess we're here tonight to speak about our affordable housing project at the former JK Motel. And if I could, just to start off, maybe pass, we have some renderings here of what the final product is going to look like. In December of 2013, we purchased the property formerly known as the JK Motel. The intent being, obviously, to convert this failed and deteriorating business into affordable housing, something that in our community is greatly needed. The thrust is obviously to turn it into condominiums, making available affordable housing for purchase as opposed to just for rent. The real estate market here in Saugeen Shores, it's very unique, and it's driven largely by the Bruce Power, the energy industry, and the tourism industry, which offers, I guess, a difficult at times situation for those that don't participate or earn their living in either industry. There's the issue, obviously, of the short-term and sometimes long-term contract workers who are renting accommodations, and then, of course, you have those accommodations that are geared to our summer tourism business. Right now, as of today, there are only 3 properties listed for sale between the prices of $150,000 and $160,000. There are 2 properties listed between $160,000 and $170,000. The number of properties for sale today in Saugeen Shores under $150,000 is 0. Thus making it very difficult for folks that don't earn a certain level of income the ability to purchase and become homeowners. The rental market is just as challenging, with the cheapest possible rent out there at $800 at the Skyline Apartments, located just across the street. The thrust of our project is to provide affordable housing to those who most need it, while at the same time revitalizing a property in the downtown core. There are two aspects to downtown revitalization, one being commercial and the other being residential. The development charges bylaw here in Saugeen Shores, and rightly so, makes allowance for those that are trying to convert, or sorry, not to convert, but to revitalize commercial buildings in the downtown areas, the ability to avoid development charges. There is no allowance or no provision in that policy or bylaw to allow for those that are doing work in residential buildings and providing places for people to live and enjoy the downtowns. So that's something I think that we should certainly consider. Tonight, we're asking that Saugeen Shores Council, you folks, either consider our request to defer or forgive the development charges that right now are attempted to that are being levied, approximately $45,000. Remembering that this is a project geared towards affordable housing. Earlier in the year, we were the recipients of what is called the YIMBY Award. And YIMBY stands for Yes in My Backyard. It was presented at Bruce County Council, where Mayor Smith was present. And we are actually the first private enterprise to receive the award. All the recipients up to this point have been those involved in service clubs or charitable organizations. I think this is certainly something that we hope to see more of, and that as a community we should hope to see more of. The ability to transition folks from being lifelong renters into homeowners offers a variety of different opportunities for them. Roger's going to speak a little bit on the financial side here and the options that become available for those people.
Okay. Essentially, we expect to be able to sell these units for between $140,000 and $150,000 each. Okay. To re-elaborate on what Jeff was saying earlier, right now in Port Elgin, places for sale under $150,000 is nothing. $150,000 to $160,000, you've got a couple of small 750 square foot row housing that's, let's say, 30 years old, baseboard heat, insulation and windows, not all that boring. Good, again, 30 years ago, everything else. Between $160,000 and $170,000, the only things for sale in Port Elgin is a cottage and a house that the real estate agent advertises is in need of repair. Essentially, housing in Port Elgin begins at $175,000. Okay? We expect to be able to sell these for between $140,000 and $150,000. The reason we can do it at that is this is kind of a payback thing. I'm not going to lose money, but we spent 1.5 years negotiating with this motel that was losing money, ugly, well, not the most attractive building in the world. The guy was losing money. We got a good deal, and we're passing it on. If you add the development charges, the price goes up by that much. Whatever, okay? Now, other things to qualify, I used the average of $145,000. I talked to a mortgage broker. If you have a good credit rating, and if you have no money down, the only money you have is, Bruce Housing has a thing where they give a forgivable loan for if you make less than $40,000 a year and the place is sold for less than $200,000, which this qualifies. If you have a good credit rating with no money down, you can buy this. If you have an income of $27,000 a year or $13 an hour, assuming you work 40 hours a week. If you have a mediocre credit rating, You can buy these places with an income of $30,000 or $14.45 an hour wage. Okay? These are very affordable. With this, if you look at, we looked at the least expensive apartments in town, which happen to be right across the road, the Skyline. They're going for $795 a month. Okay? If you took that same amount of money after you paid for your utilities, your taxes, your CAM, your interest rates, you're reducing your mortgage in the first year by $2,500. And these would not rent out for $800 a month. We figured they'd probably rent out for $1,000 if you did it. Okay, we think we're leaving money on the table and selling these things. We are not wanting to sell them to tourists. We're not wanting to sell them as investors. How we can keep those out, we're not sure. We see there's a real need. It's great if you work at Bruce Nuclear, you have a nice income. Or if you're living Guelph, Toronto, or whatever, you have money.
Just ask you to go back to the deputation here if we can stick to what you were going to say here.
Okay, it's essentially we're asking for forgiveness or long-term deferment of the development charges to help keep this as affordable housing.
Anything else, Jeff?
No, I think that sums it up. The last thing I will say is that this is the type of project that we do need more of in our community. And if if there's the ability to encourage other people to do this or to provide this kind of housing to a much needed market, I think that it'd be great if this council could consider the option, and perhaps it comes with a policy change or bylaw change down the road, but the ability to help this kind of project move forward at an affordable amount of money. And that's what we're here for this evening, to ask for the deferment or the forgiveness, please.
Thank you.
Thank
Questions or comments from the committee? Councillor Frost.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Jeff and Roger. I had a couple quick questions. How many square feet are these units?
About 700.
700.
680, 675, yeah.
And how many units?
11.
11. And I'll just say this plain out, you guys realize what this will do if I was to vote for no development fees on your project, because it's a privately owned project. Mm-hmm. Like it's not an easy task of what you're asking here. It's something that I would really have to think about. Mm-hmm. Really would, because it's just something that's just gonna.
Just make sure you're talking to the mic, Tom. If you don't mind.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. It's just when it comes to development fees, I never supported them, but they're there and they're there for a reason. So what you're asking me to consider is that everybody else in town should pay the development charges, but your project shouldn't, even though it's privately run. And I understand what you're saying and what you're asking for and why the logic is behind it, but it's just not an easy ask. It's really not. So I'd have to give it some consideration.
I
anyway.
appreciate that. It's what is your commitment to affordable housing? I mean, we're not asking for there was various grant money that's available to build affordable housing. We haven't asked for that.
I understand,
okay.
but I'm stating my part. Thank you.
Councillor Huber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had the same request come at the last council meeting, and I believe there was a statement made that we don't. Perhaps Larry could address this. Do we have the ability to adjust development fees?
If you had a grant fund in your budget, you could provide a grant in lieu of the development charges. But I believe, and we still need to complete the research, but I think the obligation in the Act is to apply them uniformly or defer, which is the second request the deputation's made.
Deputy Chairman, are you done, Diane? Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just, in addition to that, Larry, with the question in terms of our authority to or what our authority is with regard to development charges. I wonder if I assume that some sort of staff report of some nature will return to us on this question and the question of the Habitat for Humanity build on the same question. At the same time, Larry, would it be possible for staff to report to us on our powers under community improvement plans to waive or perhaps there is even a power to waive development charges within a community improvement plan? I think that might apply to this project, although not likely because it's a change we probably couldn't make in time to satisfy these guys. But I'm interested in the question because what this deputation goes to is a broader issue in probably both of our core areas, which is the redevelopment of downtown buildings, which may, on one hand, provide affordable housing, accessible housing to our commercial districts, as well as a question of whether or not they're financially viable with the development charge for that construction, given their age and their size. There's some constraints which are applied by nature, or some of them are applied by our official plan, and in that area, although it is in the interest of the municipality to see those buildings improved and redeveloped and reoccupied in some cases. So that's just something I've been going over in my head, Mr. Mayor. I would like to hear from staff, if possible, on that question of our community improvement plans and what powers we have with regard to development charges under them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I think the CIO will comment.
I was just going to indicate that we could certainly add that to the research, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I think, thanks very much. So I think that's probably your answer. We're going to go back and see what the bylaw will permit us to do, and I guess council will make a decision based on that. Okay, thanks very much, gentlemen, for your and thanks and good luck with your project. Our next deputation is Sylvia Sheard, and she's here to talk to about a great event in our town, Pretty in Pink. Welcome, Sylvia. I have somebody with you too, and I don't think he needs any introduction, but maybe you want to.
I know, you can't get the help these days.
I don't have one.
Good evening, Mayor Mike, Deputy Mayor Luke, and Town Councillors. Thank you for making time for us this evening. Thank you, Tracy, for squeezing us on the agenda, which I know is full. So we will be as brief as possible. You may have noticed that main streets of Saugeen Shores have gone pretty pink this week, which has been great. This was to raise the awareness for the need for fundraising for our hospital. And I think you'll all agree that this is not a charity. This is an investment in all of future healthcare. So I feel very passionately about what I do and for raising money for our hospital. Pretty in Pink has been going for 5 years. We've raised over $100,000 in that time for breast cancer-related charities. And we are now pledged to raise another $100,000 for our local hospital foundation for regional cancer care. So, I would also like to thank Deputy Mayor for wearing pink tie tonight, and also Jane's in pink, and yes, well. And so, the Paint the Town Pink Week, our local businesses have put in a pink window display, and that will be judged on Wednesday, and Mayor Mike will be one of the judges, so I hope he'll dust his pink hard hat off again for us, and we'll probably be in the rain, but I'd just like to say thank you to all the businesses who've taken part. So this is also partly to promote Pretty in Pink's next event, which is a gala, and it will be a mass ball to be held at the Southampton Coliseum Annex on May 31st from 6 p.m. We plan to whisk you away to Venice for the night. A great challenge in the Annex, but we'll make it look good. Champagne reception, we'll have a 4-course Italian dinner. Had a great evening choosing the wines the other night. There'll be entertainment, dancing, and a mask will be provided with your ticket. Of course, we'll have raffles, silent auction, a live auction, and So we just ask you all bring your checkbooks and cash because unfortunately we don't have, the high-tech stuff. But we could probably take an IOU from any of you if you need to. So all the proceeds will be going to the foundation, for our local hospital foundation for regional cancer care, something very close to my heart and so important as unfortunately many people in Saugeen Shores are touched by cancer. So I'll just say that as we're partnering with the hospital, I'm going to let John talk a little bit about the other part of the event.
Yes, thank you, Sylvia. Excuse me. As you know, in my heart and Sylvia's and all our group, the hospital in our community, what makes our community is our hospital. Without our foundation, which is all run by volunteers, our community would be tough. And if you look at the communities in southwestern Ontario or anywhere within Ontario, communities with a thriving hospital grow. And I can't say enough on how important our hospital is to myself and to all of us. We've all heard great stories about our people that work there, our technicians, our doctors, everyone. So to me, this is something that we really do have to support. So what I'm throwing out to you, both as council and as staff, we would really like to see your support that evening by a purchase of one table each at this gala, one for the council members and their spouses or partners, and one from town staff, because I think this is something that you need to show your support to this unbelievable establishment. So we look forward to seeing you that evening because it will be a lot of fun, and it is going to be our kickoff for the foundation. As you know, we're going to make this hospital even better. We're going to be adding a new ER room and a new laboratory, which is only going to enhance service and make it one of the best in Bruce County. So we want to start that foundation. It's one of the worst kept secrets in that we do have a fundraising started, but Tony's our chair here tonight, and thanks to his good work, it has been moving along. But this will be the kickoff, and we hope to have it finished by the end of the year, that we will have all the money raised by this great community so that we have and continue to have such a great foundation and a great hospital. So I hope to see you there that night.
So, Mayor Mike, I'd just like to give you your personal invite, and if I could approach, and
It doesn't, the nose doesn't grow any longer either. No. Yeah. Well done, Sid.
thank you very much. I know it's a little bit more light-hearted after the rest, but still, as I say, I think really important that we invest in our healthcare.
Thank you, Sylvia. Any comments or questions? Councillor Shildroth.
We have the time, the date, and the place, but where do you get the tickets?
Okay, the invitation. The date is May 31st. It sets off at 6 p.m. Tickets are available from Infinite Lingerie in Southampton and also from the cooperators in Port Elgin.
Other comments? If not, first of all, thank you for what you do for our hospital. I think you touched on it, John. It's so important to our community, and we've all been there. Fortunately, I haven't had a visit for quite a while, and I think that's the fact that I haven't tried any new home renovation projects. Usually I end up in the hospital when I start one of those.
You're helping our system, yes.
No, No, but thanks very much. It is so important that I know that our community, and over the years we've seen how our community responds and have all the confidence that it will respond again. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. And I'm wearing pink underwear.
Let's see it.
I don't believe you.
Our next item on the agenda is a report of municipal officers, and we have a public notice staff report. It has to do with the Adelaide Street construction, and our Director of Public Works, Stuart, will present.
There we go, sorry. Thank you. The Adelaide Street construction project will connect Albert Street and Emerald Drive. A new urban standard road is being installed, complete with curb, sidewalk, street lights, and turning lane onto Albert Street. Water, sanitary, and storm sewer services in this section of the road have previously been installed as part of the Emerald State subdivision development. Some road upgrades on Albert Street south of Adelaide will also be completed as part of the project. This project is being completed due to the potential development on the north side of Adelaide Street. The overall costs for this project have been secured from adjacent developments. As part of the construction, changes are required to the traffic markings on Albert Street from south of Adelaide Street to the North Spence Street. This will include the addition of a left-hand centerline turning lane. No signalized intersection is warranted at this time. The town received 4 tenders for the project, as are indicated on the staff report. Project timelines will be confirmed at a later date. The contract includes a finish date of late June. Notices will be sent prior to construction detailing timelines and other details, and the financial impact is detailed below, and it does show that there's several different funding sources, but each have been collected through different developments over the past several years.
Thanks, Stuart. Then the recommendation is that Doug Welsh Construction Limited be awarded the contract for the Adelaide Street construction project, tender number 2014-6320-5410, in the amount of $155,478.79 plus applicable taxes, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the necessary tender documents. And further, that the Adelaide Street capital budget allocation be increased from $90,900 to $166,500 to reflect the full scope of the project, with the additional project cost of $75,600 funded by the developer contributions on deposit with the town. Questions or comments? Councillor Huber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Stuart, I have 2 questions. I realize you put a comment in here about some additional work south on Albert Street leading up to Adelaide. I'm going to assume that that somehow relates to this left turn lane. There is enough space there, right? Because that's a nice curve coming into that. There won't be any difficulty with creating a bigger hazard there by encouraging people to. Will the addition of the extra lane in there to turn, is it going to start far enough back that it's not going to cause a problem as people come around that curve? I have a second question too.
Would you like me to continue?
Yeah.
Okay. So the traffic studies we have, and that's from the 2006 traffic study and also the recent one, stipulated 25-meter turning lane coming from the northbound direction. We are having to widen Albert Street. Yeah? Okay, we're having to widen Albert Street to approximately 12.5 to 13 meters wide to accommodate that. We did get those reserves from other developments in the past to do that work. We just haven't done it.
Okay, I'm just a little confused because you use the word north in there. You're talking about the widening though, heading out towards Port Elgin, right? Because the road's already been adjusted coming in from the other direction.
Right. So what I indicated was northbound traffic. So the northbound traffic will have a centerline left-hand turn lane to get onto Emerald Drive.
And 25 meters back, does that take it back around the curve?
So the storage lane will just get into the curve, and then the taper will go significantly into the curve.
Okay. Then my second question, and I brought this up at a previous meeting, and so I'm sort of repeating myself, but it bears repeating. As soon as we improve this section and provide access, it is access to everything further to the west. And once you get past Emerald Drive, that road is not in good shape at all. And of course, there's interesting, as you come, if you turned west on Emerald Drive towards the beach, you hit a stop sign at the next, there will be sort of a reassessment of that whole area, because as soon as we push more traffic that way, without improving the road from Emerald down to Huron, I think we're creating some interesting situations. So I realize it's not part of the project, but at the very least, I would really hope that you explore the stop sign situation in there, because I think there's probably an opportunity to adjust which streets have the stop sign on it to lessen some hazards, because there. And if you haven't thought about it yet, just drive through there and just see which ways you have to stop. I don't think it makes sense if we're putting more traffic on Adelaide the way that it is right now. Thank you.
Just to speak to that, we have already done most of the pre-engineering on that project to get it to link it to Huron, and we started the design phase as part of this year's pre-construction. Likely you'll be seeing something at the next capital budget regarding that.
Good. Thank you.
Any further comments? All in favor of the recommendation? That's carried. The next item on the agenda is Environmental Services and Transportation Staff Report, and it has to do with water meter replacements. And again, Stuart's going to present it.
Thank you. At the August 26 Council meeting last year, Council authorized staff to single source the supply and installation of approximately 700 water meters for that year's water meter program. Included on the agenda was an information report detailing future program procurement. As discussed, the town of Saugeen Shores has been installing this type of water meter since 2012, and to date, including last year's replacement program, approximately 1,000 meters have been installed. The 2014 water meter replacement program will continue on this previous work and replace all water meters in Saugeen Shores that were installed prior to 1999. 90% of those meters were installed in 1993 or prior, which 1992 is when all the original meters went in Port Elgin. So the idea here is to get rid of those. In addition, the program will install remote transmitters on all water meters in Port Elgin so the new drive-by system can be deployed. The new reading system and transmitters will provide the town with additional functionality from the current system. Detailed consumption data will be recorded, alarm notifications for lost water will be provided, and real-time information can be collected in an efficient manner. Originally, staff had proposed a fully remote read system to be implemented. This system, however, included some additional annual costs that would be better invested once a town-wide system can be deployed. The drive-by system is being given to the town at no additional charge, and only regulatory fees are required for annual use. Future year programs will be more financially modest, as the majority of older meters will be replaced at the end of 2014. A more gradual and replacement schedule will be proposed for future years to spread out the investment. However, at some point during the program, the change to a remote read system will be reviewed, and a large capital investment will once again be required if that's Council's direction. The installation procedure is proposed to be completed by Corix, following a strict protocol that's been used in many municipalities. A call center will contact residents to schedule installation. Certified installers with background checks are employed to perform the changeouts, and essential data is recorded for integration into the town's GIS system. The 2014 meter program will include the replacement of about 1,500 meters, 200 commercial meters, and about 3,900 remote transmitters. The overall budget was $1.2 million. We're looking at about just over $1 million to complete the project.
Thank you, Stuart. And the recommendation is that Council authorize the Mayor and Clerk to sign the necessary contract documents with Corix Utilities for the water meter replacement program. Comments or questions? I'll start with Councillor Hubert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Stuart, you made a comment that only regulatory fees are required after this drive-by system gets in place. Are those regulatory fees, are they payable by the town, or will they be attached to each individual bill? And what's your sense of what kind of dollars we're talking about? Thank you.
So just to step back, when we did originally propose the remote read system, there's regulatory fees there as well as also a cloud hosting fee, which got a little expensive for what we're looking at. So with this system, it's only a regulatory fee to pay for, I think it's Industry Canada for the actual the license on the frequency. So I think it's about $1,200 or $2,400 a year total. And
So
that's all it is.
it's not a charge that will be to every single user. It will be a system charge that it'll be it won't be every month on their bill. They'll get okay.
Essentially, it will be on every user, just spread out through the water sewer program.
Okay.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's good to see this moving forward. I just, in the previous, like the ones we've done up until now, the one concern that I've heard from people is because of the way that we're doing this, where the town isn't doing it itself, we're hiring a contractor to do it, then somebody gets the telephone call from the contractor saying, hey, by the way, we're coming to change your water meter. It's sort of it's a bit of a suspicious sounding phone call. And I've heard that from a few people now saying, well, is this really going on, Luke? What's happening here? And I just wondered if we could do a bit of advertising with some of our contingency money or something, try and promote to the public that the town is undertaking these water meter changes and that you may be receiving a phone call from somebody, and yes, this person is contracted by the town of Saugeen Shores to do these changes on our behalf. And I mean, try to promote that and provide some reassurance to the public that this is happening.
Certainly, there were some good lessons learned last year on the smaller pilot project. We also received many of those phone calls, whether it was a sketchy operation. So what we're going to do this year is send out, we have a mailing list set up. We'll send out letters from myself and with town letterhead identifying the project, and if they have any questions to call. So that'll be done prior to them getting any phone calls from Corix looking for appointments.
Other questions? All in favor of the recommendation? That's carried. Next item on the agenda is the Planning and Development Staff Report. It has to do with the site plan agreement for the JK Motel, and our CAO will present.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The former JK Motel is located at 761 Waterloo on the east side of Waterloo Street and north of Market. The owner is proposing to convert the former motel to accommodate 11 apartment dwellings. Site improvements would include additional parking, landscaping, and recreation space. The owner is posting securities to ensure completion of all site improvements and to ensure completion of lot grading and drainage designs. The owner has addressed matters arising in the consultation process and is proposing improvements to the existing facade. And you saw a sketch submitted tonight, some landscaping, buffering, and is also providing additional parking. Staff are recommending that the town proceed with completing the site plan agreement once all remaining issues have been addressed. And in terms of the deputation, I just want to note, Mr. Mayor, that the timing for the payment of the future DC charge will not occur at this stage. It will occur down the road when the condominium application is made. So this will not hold up proceeding with this site plan application tonight.
Thank you. Then the recommendation is that Council pass a bylaw to authorize a site plan agreement with 1675422 Ontario Limited for a conversion of the former JK Motel to an 11 apartment dwelling units. Questions or Councilor Huber?
Thank you. Larry, could you just assure me, and I'm sure it's just the way that I'm not able to read the document, but 11 units, there are at least 11 parking spaces there, and at least 1 or 2 for visitors?
I don't think I can read this reduced plan. I know there are at least 11, and I believe there's 1 for visitor as well.
Okay, thank you.
I think there's 15 altogether, 14 or 15 on the plan. Other comments? All in favor? That's carried. The next item again is another site plan agreement, and this one has to do with Heinrich Investment Company Limited, and our CAO will present.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. More good news. The owner of this property that owns the land is located at the northwest corner of Adelaide and Albert. The property is currently vacant. The owner is proposing to construct a 400 square meter retail plaza, which is to include a restaurant and a 90 square meter car wash. Site improvements include enhanced landscaping, building facades, and signage that's reasonably consistent with the town's design guidelines. The town has required a capital contribution amount of $50,000 for improvements on Albert Street and the construction of Adelaide, and you've just dealt with a staff report on that subject. The owner is posting securities to ensure completion of site improvements. The owner has addressed matters arising in the design guidelines and has improved the facade and landscaping along the perimeter of the property, and has in fact relocated the building on the site to bring it more forward on the property to help with the overall streetscape. There are two outstanding issues that remain. One is an obligation to submit an acoustical report, which will deal with the car wash operation to ensure that it is compatible with the neighborhood, and that report is still outstanding as of today. The second item relates to the approval of the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, and there is a restriction on the zoning of the property that requires that to occur, and the owner continues to work with them to get that. But at this point, we believe that we are in a position to move forward at this stage with the bylaw to be tabled once those two last outstanding issues are addressed, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Larry. Then the recommendations of the Council pass a bylaw to authorize a site plan agreement with Henrik Investment Company for a new retail plaza, including a restaurant and car wash, once the outstanding issues are addressed by the owner. Questions or comments? Councillor Huber?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, it's a small drawing, but I just would like some assurance. I actually stood there and kind of looked. We're kind of lining up some of the lines that are in this with the Tim Hortons development, right? Like, when you look at the setback from the highway, where the parking, it's similar to their parking lot. Just the other question that I have, again, on the west side of the property, the berm that got created when Tim Hortons came in, I think has been very advantageous. So, all of that's been taken into account to just extend the good stuff from the property to the north, sort of right down to Adelaide, because it's hard to tell from the drawing.
Through Mr. Mayor, the owner will be required, in fact, to shift the berm and construct a fence because the berm that abuts this property is not along the property line. So there needs to be some adjustment, quote unquote, of some of that existing vegetation along there. But there is a grading plan that does show a smaller berm with a privacy fence to be constructed on the new or the existing property line. Excuse me.
Okay, and another concern is we're creating another outlet to Albert Street, to the highway, that, when you look at the drawing, there it is, then you go a little bit further to the north, there's the Rexall one, you go a little bit further to the north, there's the Tim Hortons one, and you've got two intersections. That's in a very short period of time, 5 opportunities to turn onto the highway. There was no way that the outlet from this property could be at least aligned with the Rexall one. Was that even taken into account?
Let Stuart answer that.
Thank you.
That's something we did speak with the developer about quite a bit. But with the layout that they wanted, with the severance on the one side, with the car wash on the other, the driveway would have been aligned with the middle of the building, and it wouldn't have worked that way. So we tried to get it pushed as far away from the intersection as we could, and then looking at the traffic report we got from them, looking at the center line turning lanes as well, to try to help that getting on and getting off the highway.
With respect, I appreciate what you tried to do, but creating a turn lane in there is just, you got too many places to turn. And I can appreciate the difficulty that the developer had, but, when we created the property on the other side of the highway, we put in place an out of the property that would enable some development at the north end of that particular property. I find it very disappointing that we weren't able to, and I understand what you said, and I can appreciate the developer has had a plan for the property. I just think it's unfortunate that we're creating a lot of ins and outs from the highway that's just disappointing. Thank you.
Vice Deputy Government.
Never remembered to push the button this time. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a question regarding our previous experience with car washes. Larry, you spoke about a fence. There are some good acoustical fences available that do a great job of muffling noise. Are we looking at that kind of a fence? Is that what we're talking about?
I think the staff report noted that the acoustical report is still outstanding, and that is something that may impact the site plan before we're complete. At the moment, it's proposed to be a board fence, if I recall correctly. but there will be some very specific calculations made to ensure that the noise level is such that it will be acceptable. I think we're acutely aware of the problems created by the car washes.
Thanks, Larry.
Deputy Mayor, and then we'll get to Councillor Seaman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wondered, maybe Larry, can you go into that in slightly more detail for me? I mean, what is an acceptable noise level? I mean, we don't, our bylaws don't stipulate an actual figure for an acceptable noise level. So we enforce the noise bylaw based on the common sense of the person who's enforcing it, in effect, or to the, I mean, so how will, with an installation like this, as opposed to somebody blaring their stereo in their backyard, for example, what is going to be the limitation in terms of the noise it can generate, and how will it be enforced?
There are MOE guidelines for this type of mechanical equipment there are MOE guidelines for this type of mechanical equipment that the acoustical consultant will be using as the baseline, and then we'll be taking dimensions to houses and so on in proximity. So as noted, we have to see the report before we finish.
And then, if I may, Mr. Mayor, those guidelines are then enforced by the MOE thereafter when after construction occurs?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Seaman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I took the opportunity this afternoon to walk that berm. I think it would be advantageous if someone from the town went to visit those 4 residential units that are impacted. They all have flower gardens, shrubbery, rock gardens, all on this developer's property. And he's going to go in and clear that out. I think we should give the residents a heads up as soon as possible that this is coming, and please move your shrubs off the property, or the contractor is going to do it for them. They may not be too happy about it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I think we could probably ask the contractor to do that. I think it would probably be better because he's going to be the one doing the work, so we could make that a stipulation that he contact those people and work that out. I think it would be a good opportunity for him then to meet his neighbors. So, any other comments or questions? All in favor of the recommendation? That's carried. Are you doing the next one too? Sorry. Are you doing this one? No, Jane. The next item on the agenda is a staff report that has to do with the agreement with the Chamber of Commerce, and our Director of Community Services, Jane, is going to present.
Thank you. The Town of Saugeen Shores has agreed upon a service contract with the Chamber of Commerce for a number of years for the operation of primarily the Chamber of Business office, as well as the Tourist Information Centre in Port Elgin, Southampton. The Chamber has provided community promotion, special events, planning, and marketing support services. In March of 2013, Council agreed to provide a one-year agreement for the provision of tourism services with the understanding that staff embark on a think tank exercise that would include key stakeholders to review the current environment of tourism in Saugeen Shores. Janine Dunlop, Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Sport, assisted the group with developing a preliminary analysis of our existing tourism environment. There is now a desire to have a thorough organizational audit done, as well as a skills audit utilizing the current personnel services within community services and tourism. Staff has contacted Christine Anderson from the Ministry of Tourism, who has worked with a number of communities through this process in the past with great success. The goal is to review both of the operations and attempt to reduce duplication of services where applicable. This would either be in the delivery of special events or the promotion of services and events and programs. A meeting has been scheduled for May to include staff for community services, tourism, and the CAO to work through this process in consultation with Cheryl O'Brien, a representative from OMAFRA. It is anticipated that the final product will potentially provide a tool that will be valuable in how we provide our service delivery for tourism in Saugeen Shores. And the financial impact, there's no cost to doing that process, but I've indicated on here the financial impact of the agreement with Tourism and Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Gene. And the recommendation is that Saugeen Shores Council enter into a one-year agreement with Saugeen Shores Chamber of Commerce for the promotion of visitor information, community promotion, special events planning, marketing support services effective April 1st, 2014 and expiring March 31st, 2015. Any comments, questions? Councillor Hubert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's just for clarification, Jane. In your report, you make mention of the fact that we approved something previously in the budget, but then you have plus $4,000. I do remember we talked about the kiosks. Is this new money, or is this built into the budget too? It's just the way you've worded it here.
I believe it was built into the budget.
Yeah, I thought it was too. I just wanted clarification. Thank you.
Any further comments or questions? All in favor? That's carried. The next item on the agenda again is a staff report and has to do with the Chamber of Commerce lease agreements, and again our Director of Community Services, Jane, will present.
The one-year lease agreement between the town of Saugeen Shores and the Port Elgin District Chamber of Commerce is expiring for the usage of the Chamber building located in the Port Elgin office space and located in the Southampton Town Hall. Both of these locations are actively used as primarily the visitor information centers. The Port Elgin location is additionally utilized as the Ministry of Transportation Office and Business Enterprise Center. Staff is suggesting that this agreement also be renewed for 1 year until the strategic planning process is completed with the Ministry of Tourism, so that the results can be reviewed and make changes accordingly if identified within the planning process. And the financial impact is indicated.
Thank you, Jane. Then the recommendation is that Saugeen Shores Council approves a one-year lease renewal with the Saugeen Shores Chamber of Commerce for the lease of the Chamber building in Port Elgin and office space located at the Southampton Town Hall effective April 1st, 2014, expiring March 31st, 2015. Comments, questions? All in favor then? That's carried. The next item on the agenda then is this, again, another staff report has to do with memorial pillars at the old fairgrounds. And again, Jane's going to present.
In September of 1964, stone pillars were unveiled to commemorate a century of operation for the North Bruce and Saugeen Architectural Society. The name was changed to Port Elgin Agricultural Society that same year. The pillars are located at the entrance of the existing Port Elgin tourist camp, and I've indicated what they say in your attachment. Over the last couple of years, the pillars have been damaged twice due to individuals pulling trailers that misjudge maneuvering around the pillars. As trailers continue to grow in size, it will continue to be an issue. From the most recent incident, the town has acquired over $2,000 to repair the pillar. That will go towards removing the pillars and placing the existing plaques in a cairn. Due to the sensitivity this may cause, staff is asking Council's approval so that they may proceed with removing the existing pillars and construct a cairn within the vicinity of the existing pillars, which would house the existing plaques. This will allow a wider entrance for trailers to enter the park and a safer access. And I've indicated the financial impact.
Thank you, Jane. And the recommendation is that Council support staff in the removal of existing memorial pillars entering into the Port Elgin tourist camp and erecting a cairn to house the existing plaques. Questions, Vice Deputy Mayor Garland.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I was at that dedication, by the way, and that was a while ago. But the money to do that and the momentum to do that came from Saugeen Township, Bruce Township, Erin Township, and a lot of Port Elgin people as well. I would certainly support some kind of a permanent cairn. I think it makes sense. I know that there's an issue, as Jane says, with the location. At the time that those were built, it wasn't an issue, but it certainly is now. And I think as long as we make an effort to preserve that heritage, then I can certainly support it and maybe even be happy to see it better than it used to be. So thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Doug. Deputy Mayor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Doug, I hope you had good luck sidestepping the dinosaurs while you were at that dedication. I wonder, Jane, I know that you probably haven't had this opportunity because the Heritage Committee only just reappeared. But I'm wondering, I don't have any trouble with this recommendation, but I'm wondering if after it passes, if it might be not a bad idea to consult this or take this to the Heritage Committee and ask their input, particularly in terms of the cairn and its location, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just a suggestion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I think it's a good suggestion. Councillor Huber.
I wasn't at the unveiling. Anyway, my comment really is there perhaps an opportunity to put this in a better location? So it sort of follows what the Deputy Mayor said, so that it gets a little more attention and exposure. Like, there's so I would welcome the chance for the Heritage Committee to take a look at this in the sense that maybe there's another park location where it can have a little more prominence and people can revisit it in a little better way. And I'm sure the Vice Deputy Mayor is going to shoot that idea down, but I didn't know they were there because if you go into the trailer park, you're a resident there. Is there an opportunity to put these somewhere where they would be available to everybody in the community? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Dan.
The trailer park is actually the Port Elgin Agricultural Park, and it will always be that, and I think the cairn needs to be located somewhere in that location. So enough said. I don't care if it's at the gate or in the middle or in the center of the ball diamond, but somewhere.
Well, I think the center of the ball diamond may be a little problematic. No, but I agree with you, Doug. And I think I think it would be interesting to hear the Heritage Committee comment, because my question, it's kind of memorial signifies that we're there for some particular person or past or some memorial. I mean, you usually take that as a memorial of someone that's passed, but I think it's just maybe the fair that used to be held there in the palace that was there. In any case, I would be interested to hear what the Heritage Committee. Any further comments? All in favor of the recommendation? That's carried. The next item on the agenda is the communications or petitions for committee of the whole action, and our first is the Township of Wainfleet, and it has to do with the long-term energy plan, and they're asking we petition the Premier and the province to take immediate action to prevent the proposed hydro rate increases from being implemented, and we need some direction from the committee.
Mr. Mayor, although I agree with the sentiment, I think this is really just a call on the Premier to raise taxes, and I'm not sure that I like that either, so I'm going to move to note and file, Mr. Mayor.
We have a seconder for that? Marcel? Any other comments? All in favor? That's carried. There's one other item there, and I think it has to do with Highway 21 from Port Elgin to Evanley and the construction. And maybe you want to comment on it, Stuart. They've met, because I think you have been discussing some issues with them on this. And really what they're asking, they request for contractor schedule. We've got that, and cycling facilities. They comment on about our request to do something at the rail crossing, and they basically turned us down.
It certainly has been a frustrating process, just even to get information on this. So I'm happy we did receive something, but discouraged as the message that it brought. So we're continuing to work with them, and we'll be sending some more correspondence in the near future.
Thank you, Councillor Huber, and then we'll go here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and way to go, Stuart. Getting us at least this response, I think, was took you a lot of effort. I'm totally disheartened, though, and as Larry knows, I recently sent something. The minister has just come out with a big report about how they want to encourage cycling and do this and do this and do that, and here's a perfect opportunity for one of those quick responses that they could hold up as a poster child for what this program can do. I think it would behoove us to from council make a direct comment about, hey, you got, like, on the one hand you're saying this, and here we've got this opportunity, and yeah, pushing cyclists to alternate routes that have lower speeds. We're not trying to, it would be great if in the work that they're doing on the highway, if they put a bike lane, but we're not asking them to do that. We're keeping bike traffic off the highway. And, there's just this one little impediment. And I think this is an opportunity for us to say something directly about, on the one hand, you're saying this, and on the other hand, you're not doing anything, and here's a perfect opportunity to do something. So I would like us to do that. I don't know how we do it, but I would like us to do it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Diane. Doug, did you have a comment?
Yeah. While I agree with Councillor Huber, I had another comment on that letter. It looks to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I sat in a number of meetings about drainage at the north edge of town, and it looks to me that they included that in the letter and said, we've also dealt with your drainage issues, go away. It seemed to me that they said we're going to put 3 or 4 culverts in there, and that's about all we're doing. Did I misread that, or was that the end of that discussion? Because we had a lot of discussion on that.
So the basis for this letter is a response to a letter that the town sent probably over a year ago with some general questions on the project. We've since followed up with pretty well exactly what Councillor Huber just suggested in an email to the MTO last week. Where am I going with this?
We're talking about drainage. Remember all those meetings we had?
So yes, we are working, and I apologize for my lapse there. It gets me a little up in arms here. Anyway, we have been dealing with them on they've just recently completed a drainage study with an outside consultant. We haven't been privy to the results yet. We're hoping to have an unveiling ceremony next week, but we're not just sure if that's going to be, we can accommodate that meeting at this point. So we're hoping to get the results of the drainage study that they're doing, which is more directed towards the concession 10 area.
So this is not the end of that discussion. That was my concern. Okay, thanks.
Councillor Huber.
Thank you. As a follow-up, Stuart will recall that I when they started to put all the flags out, I said, hey, Stuart, they're finally doing something. What are they doing? Do you have a sense of what's happening at Sparks' Corner? And I know you've made the request because there's been requests for street lights or a light at that particular corner, whether it's at the highway or at Bruce Road 3 Carlisle. But, do you know what's going on at Sparks' Corner? Is it just resurfacing?
At this point, yes, it's just structural resurfacing. If council wishes, we could put together a bit of a report for next meeting with the timelines and a bit of the overview of the construction that's being proposed at this time.
Sounds really awesome.
Luke?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Director of Public Works is a fairly mild-mannered character, not a guy who's prone to outbursts, and I envy him for that because I am. But I have the correspondence that he wrote to in response to this travesty was a very pointed response for him, I think, and I just really want to congratulate him and thank him for picking up this issue and hammering it just as hard as he can with his counterparts at the MTO. This has been, in my view, an extremely frustrating process. At every phase of it, this is a piece of provincial highway that passes through the center of the town of Saugeen Shores, and we hear about it third hand off the beginning. We ask for some simple consultation on some things and ask for some assistance along the way to improve a couple of things that are affecting us and our residents along that highway. And even though perhaps the MTO doesn't see it through our paradigm, and I can understand that, it's just even the great lag in time. I mean, this project is beginning today. It's underway. And we still don't have fundamental answers, just yes or no answers to questions that we've been posing all along. How can that be? I really think that we've gotten short shrift from the ministry on this, and there was no need for that. I mean, I think that just some timely communication would have been appreciated with some concise and clear answers on some things. And the amount of work that Stu had to do just to get this response, took a lot of his time and a lot of effort, and that was unnecessary. So I guess I just really want to put out, Mr. Mayor, clearly my disappointment with the ministry on this project. And I hope that we can get some of these things addressed. I think, unfortunately, now with the rail trail crossing issue, that's an issue we're going to have to address after the fact of this reconstruction process. And the reconstruction, the fact that it's completed isn't necessarily, in my view, should not be, and isn't the end of the discussion on the rail trail crossing. It's just we need to have it in a different context now, as we've been doing all along. And I think, hopefully, we can reconvene the stakeholders on that subject and have some discussions about what we do now. So I hope we can keep moving that issue forward, and I hope that this drainage thing gets addressed as well. But frankly, Mr. Mayor, I just really wanted to register my disappointment.
Thank you. I think, Diane, your request about whether we can do something, and I think your reply, maybe perhaps we could communicate with the minister or something. Stuart has contacted with the, I guess it's district engineers or the district staff. But if you wish, we can also draft a letter. I might say this isn't, we bring this together because we are going to be, Stuart and I have been discussing about the connecting link and the bridge, what has happened there. And we will be sending a letter to the minister about our disappointment on that and what it's going to do to our long range in our capital budget. So we can probably draft another letter to the minister, and we'll fire that off to him and offer to meet with him again and see if he will talk to us about it, because I agree with you. This has been an ongoing saga that we really haven't been too successful in getting anything. And it's unfortunate. So, sorry, the next item on the agenda, petitions for committee for information. So there's 5 items there. They're in the information room if anybody has anything or would like to see them. The next then is report of department heads, and we have an information report about an ambassador position. And Jane, maybe you want to speak to it, if you have it there, or if not, or if there's any questions. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just explain it briefly for you. What we're doing is we're taking an existing position that we've had with the municipality and leveraging it and partnering with the Port Elgin BIA and the Chamber of Commerce, each bringing $2,000 to the table to provide an ambassador position as a pilot position in the Port Elgin downtown core. So not only are they going to be cleaning some of the sidewalks, they're going to be visible during the day, which is really important, and they're also going to be able to answer tourism questions at the same time. So it's a new position, something that we're going to monitor. Again, make sure that they're visible to the public, and if successful, then we're going to investigate the same position for Southampton for next year.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Councilor Gold.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Jane, how will people identify this individual downtown as the ambassador?
Because they're going to be manual labor as well, it's important that they wear the PPE, the personal protection equipment. So they're going to have the bright orange on that we're going to that we typically would see our workers in. We're currently working with Joanne right now to see how can we put a hat on that says "Ask me a question" or something along that way, that they're approachable to our tourism visitors as well.
I have a mask here if you'd like to. If it's any use to you. No, I better keep that. Nothing else then. Then we'll start good to council with Councillor Frost. And
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have much. I just want to make mention that May 1st is the Rail Trails AGM from 7 to 9 p.m. and I believe Jerry Boucher is going to be on radio tomorrow on the beach with in the morning to talk about that. And that's about all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Huber.
Thank you. I just I appreciated the comment someone made about notice to residents about a number of things. Just as an observation, one of the big questions I've had over the last week is about leaf pickup. So maybe, Stuart, it might be good to get that in the next thing in the paper, that we're not picking up leaves.
Picking up here.
Pardon? Yeah, because that was the big question that I had. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Shildroth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just the Chamber of Commerce AGM on Thursday, May the 8th, and I believe it starts at 5:30 at the Walker House.
Thank you. Vice Deputy Mayor Gallant.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Planning advisory is Thursday, May the 8th as well, and I believe it starts at 5 o'clock, so anyone who's interested, there's a number of things on the agenda. I had the opportunity yesterday to go up in Port Elgin Flying Club's plane, the plane that they all use, they share. And two things. One thing is we looked at some hangars in Kincardine that were privately built and rent for, I believe, $300 a month. And one of them is the one that plane is stored in for the winter. And the other thing, and it's interesting that they can actually do that, and looks pretty good. The other thing is, if you wonder why it's so cold, all you got to get up to about 4,000 feet and look out towards Michigan. And north of Kincardine, it's mostly ice. It's pretty scary. We went all the way up to Tobermory and came back down over Nottawasaga Bay, and there's a lot of ice out there yet, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks for that wonderful news. Councillor Brown. Councillor Seaman.
I just thank everyone that came out on Saturday to clean up the beaches, parks. I wasn't one of them, but I did see a pile of people out there, and I really thank them for doing what they do. Thank you.
Councillor Legault.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been busy the last month or so. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been busy the last month or so negotiating with Carol Foods, and I'm pleased to announce that I'm bringing a new franchise to town in the near future, a Harvey Swiss Chalet, and we'll have more details to come.
Great. Deputy Mayor Charbonneau.
I will be one of your first customers, Councillor Legault. We'll beat him there. I just, one thing to report, the Downtown Revitalization Advisory Committee met on Thursday, and just wanted to report to Council that the branding toolkit process is moving forward, and it's going through a process now being reviewed by the group of citizens, residents who initially helped us generate it, and so they're going to look it over. It's going to come back to the Downtown Revitalization Committee in May, and then hopefully will be sent here for our review thereafter. So some good progress happening there, and otherwise, Mr. Mayor, I'm just out planting corn. This is the first time I have ever planted corn, and there was still snow on the rail trail. That's the first time that's ever happened. So it's very shortly, Councillor Frost. Very shortly. Just.
I have a couple things and put on our community this week, and I attended. One of them was the Bruce County Mutual Aid. Each year will host a two-day training session, and this year our chief and fire department hosted it, and I had the opportunity to greet them. They were here. You might have seen lots of really expensive fire trucks running around the town, and they had some great training days planned, and I want to congratulate Bruce County Mutual Aid and Chief Eagleson for hosting that. I also had the opportunity to go to a retirement party later that evening for Constable Lyon, and it was kind of really an enjoyable evening to see the number of people and how the community responded to Doug's, I believe, 34 years. I think he started here in 1981, he started in Southampton in 1981, and then he was part of 3 different police departments, and eventually retired, and he's not going anywhere. But I think Doug Lyons is what you see is the best in policing in so many ways, and this community will certainly miss him, and hopefully you'll see him. Just one other thing, too, I had to do with fire is that one of our captains, Paul Schuler, received the Harvey Gunnis Award, and this is dedicated to the most outstanding firefighter in Bruce County. It's awarded annually, so we offer congratulations to Paul on that also. So, with that, a motion to adjourn. Tom and Doug, all in favor? It's carried. like to call to order this regular council meeting of the town of Saugeen Shores. And again, our first order of business is the declaration of pecuniary interest, and I'll remind you of your responsibility to declare. And the next item on the agenda is adoption of minutes, and it's the minutes of the regular council meeting of April 14th, 2014. It's been moved by Councillor Legault, seconded by Deputy Mayor Charbonneau. The council adopts the minutes of the council meeting of April 14th, 2014 as presented. Any errors or comments? All in favor? That's carried. Next are the committee of the whole minutes of April 14th, and it's been moved by Councillor Legault, seconded by Deputy Mayor Charbonneau, that council note and file the committee of the whole minutes of April 14th, 2014. Any questions or comments or errors or omissions? All in favor? That's carried. The next item on the agenda is Environmental Services and Transportation Report from April 14th, and it's been moved by Councillor Legault, seconded by Deputy Mayor Charbonneau, that the Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the Environmental Services and Transportation Report dated April 14th, 2014, recommending the following. 1. Authorize staff to enter into contract negotiations with CRU Solutions for the supply and installation of LED streetlights. 2. That Work Equipment Limited be awarded the contract to supply and deliver a trackless MT6 municipal tractor for the amount of $111,281 plus applicable HST. And 3. Adopt the 2014 Emerald Ash Borer Management Plan. Any questions or comments to that motion? All in favor then? That's carried.
I just have to note that the next staff report for the water meters was actually on committee of the whole, so it's not on council. It was to be removed, and for some reason it didn't get removed.
So it's not there. Don't look at it. So the next thing is motions and notice of motions, and this is the motion that, sorry. Yes, the nuisance bylaw. And it's been moved by the Deputy Mayor Charbonneau and seconded by Councillor Frost that the Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores hereby resolves that the Town of Saugeen Shores supports and is willing to join a coalition of municipalities investigating and drafting a nuisance noise bylaw according to the principles outlined by Warren Howard in his deputation to Saugeen Shores Council on March 24, 2014. And further that the Town of Saugeen Shores pledges $15,000 for the purpose of funding the work of such a coalition. And further that the Town of Saugeen Shores participation in and financing of this coalition will commence only when the following conditions are met. An acceptable threshold for membership funding is achieved, an acceptable memorandum of understanding is agreed upon among coalition members that include a written pledge for funding from each member, and a communication protocol between the members, municipalities, and the organizing municipalities on behalf of the coalition. A plan is presented that includes the basic steps necessary to move the process forward, decision-making, administrative structures, and methods of accountability in terms of handling funds. Any questions or comments to that motion? Councillor Seaman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Acceptable to this council that's coming back to us, or staff, or where does this go from here?
Do you want to comment?
Through Mr. Mayor, I believe it will come back here to have council endorse the MOU itself.
This time, Mr. Mayor, I don't think I can support this. I think we need a new government. That'll save us $15,000. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments, Deputy Mayor Charbonneau?
I'll speak to the motion, Mr. Mayor. I think I agree with Councillor Seaman on his last point. Although I will endorse the motion, I think what this gets at is the municipality, along with other municipalities, and there are other municipalities who have endorsed this concept and who are committing funding to it, should it ever develop into something. This is about, not so much about the provincial government's actions or its jurisdiction. It's more about exploring the municipality's jurisdiction and inside its own sphere of influence. And I think the fact of the matter is that, particularly when it comes to industrial wind turbines, that there are more of them out there and potentially, possibly more of them coming. Certainly we There was a letter on committee of the whole indicating how the ministry has or is in the process of terminating the FIT program and replacing it with a new program. So it seems to me the intention of the ministry is to continue with this, and this concept explores the authority of the municipality to regulate noise in our rural areas on the question of creating quiet nights. And there are a great many, and I can't highlight this enough, there are a great many potential pitfalls to generating a successful bylaw that would be applicable in the town of Saugeen Shores that would both meet the requirements of the Green Energy Act as well as avoid limiting noises from other receptors that would be less desirable to limit, for example, agricultural activities. So I'd say I just want to be very clear that this is by no means, number one, a panacea. That it is not something that's necessarily going to eliminate all wind turbines from anywhere, and there's also no guarantee that a successful bylaw can be drafted. But it is worth exploring, in my view, in partnership with these other communities, thereby limiting the financial liability of the town of Saugeen Shores in exploring it. And it's worth, I think, endorsing a partnership if all of these criteria are met that would enable us to work with other municipalities on the issues around this subject, on constructive things that might be possible. So obviously I move the motion, I support the motion, and I hope Council does too. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Luke. I think to try and satisfy Thea, I don't think this means that we're automatically going to spend any money. I think there's a number of thresholds, and those discussions will come back as this thing gains momentum or doesn't, and we'll see where it goes. But I agree with Luke. I think it's worth exploring. Any other comments? All in favor? That's carried. The next item is bylaws. We only have 4 tonight, so we shouldn't be too long. The first one is bylaw to authorize the election voting method, and it's been moved by Councillor Shildroth, seconded by Vice Deputy Mayor Gowlock, that bylaw 38-2014, being a bylaw to authorize an alternative voting method and the use of optical scanning voting tabulators for the 2014 municipal election, and the entering into an agreement with DataFix to provide vote by mail services and Dominion Voting to provide optical scanning tabular services is hereby read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed and sealed this 28th day of April 2014. Questions or comments to the motion or bylaw? All in favor then? That's carried. The next item is authorize the deeming bylaw for Dave Wells, and it's been moved by Councillor Huber and seconded by Councillor Frost that bylaw 39-2014, being a bylaw to deem lots 34 and 35, Plan 3M153, Town of Saugeen Shores, not to be lots on a registered plan of subdivision, is hereby read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed and sealed this 28th day of April 2014. Questions or comments to the motion or bylaw? All in favor? That's carried. Next is authorizing an agreement with Bell Telecommunications, and it's been moved by Councillor Huber, seconded by Councillor Frost, that bylaw 40-2014, being a bylaw to authorize an agreement with Bell Mobility, is hereby read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed and sealed this 28th day of April 2014. Any questions or comments? All in favor? That's carried. And finally, we have an authorized bylaw to authorize an agreement for a paddleboard business, and it's been moved by Councillor Frost and seconded by Councillor Huber that bylaw 41-2014, being a bylaw to authorize an agreement with Jamie Taylor, is hereby read a first, second, and third time, finally passed and sealed this 28th day of April 2014. Comments or questions, Councillor Huber?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I still believe that we're not doing the right thing by allowing this opportunity to happen with a $250 lease payment. I believe that I did send an email around to everybody indicating here's a link to this business up in Sauble Beach. We did not have enough information available to us when we had this brought before us last week. This is a business that the rental fees are not, $1.50 an hour. And giving away a business opportunity on the beach for $250. It's not about not encouraging business at the beach. It's about us not being taken advantage of. And I've had a number of comments. There were some media reports that did not mention $250. That when people heard that, they're like, well, don't they pay more than that at all of the other public opportunities at the beach? And yes, there's structures involved. However, this is an area of the beach that, that platform is used for a number of purposes, and we're just enabling somebody to have access to a portion of it for the entire summer. We're setting up an opportunity that this business can store stuff overnight, although it was said that that was not the intention. There's nothing there that says that it can't happen specifically. And for $250, we've done this. I really think that it's not about discouraging business. It's about us being responsible with the use of public facilities, and that's prime real estate. And we certainly did not have enough information about the business proposal. I'd also would have appreciated receiving some information about the other licensing that would go along with this, because holding it up as comparable to a hot dog cart, I don't think is at all apples to apples. And so as much as I seconded the motion to get it on the floor, I will be voting against it, because I really think that it disadvantages the public's interest in the waterfront. Thank you.
Did you want to comment, Jane?
Yeah, we certainly listened to what Councillor Huber said at last Committee of the Whole, and have approached Ms. Taylor, and she's abided by purchasing a business license as well as the lease agreement for 2014 as a pilot program.
So I think in that, you're saying it's a pilot program, yeah. Right. Any other comments then? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. So the last one then is confirmatory bylaw. I have it right here. But I lost it. Oh, I can do stuff pretty easy, so don't worry about it. It's been moved by Councillor Schilder, second by Councillor Huber, that the bylaw 42-2014 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings in the town of Saugeen Shores is hereby the first, second, third time finally passed and sealed this 28th day of April 2014. All in favor? That's carried. And I have a motion that's moved by Councillor Brown, second by Councillor Seaman, that this regular council meeting of April 28th, 2014 hereby adjourn at 10:55. All in favor? 9:55. Thank you. All in favor? Or adjourn?
Mr. Mayor, does Tracy not have to read off the bylaws?
The bylaws read tonight, 38, 42 are hereby read. A final time to finally pass is 28th day of April, 2014.
Good stuff.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.